the chat.
I do?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that might explain a
We're
lot.
on you, Ravi.
Are we live on everything?
We are currently live. Well, it says sending data still. It's actually all three for mine.
Oh, so we're not live. Well, let me know so I can refresh.
It says we're online now for YouTube, Facebook.
Yeah, we're up. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome to Was It Good? I'm your host, Ravi, and I'm joined by my two brothers, Christian and Arjuna. I'm wearing a red Christmas t-shirt, and that's not intentionally ironic, because later on we'll be giving away a red Sith Jet Trooper action figure by Kenner, and I wanted to show solidarity with my toys. We'll also be reviewing The Hate You Give, Twilight Zone, and Independence Day Resurrection. Nope, Independence Day Resurgence. There's also some newsy news, but first, we gotta talk about football.
Football's back.
Football is not back.
What?
Football is not back, Arjuna.
But I
so
remembered Ravi saying we should do Colin Kaepernick at the top.
I did. And the reason we want to bring up Colin Kaepernick is because some exciting news. A friend of the podcast, Josiah Johnson, and a whole slew of other, executives, writers, and so forth, are actually going to be doing a Colin Kaepernick scripted docu-type series, a 6-episode run about the early formative years of Colin Kaepernick.
High school.
Right. And I believe potential lead up to the events when he went to the NFL and ultimately left or was forcefully removed from the NFL. Very interesting series. Like I said, Josiah Johnson is going to be part of it. You can find him on such shows as Dunkbait. Like that cross-promotion there.
Do you know what is Dunkbait? I've never heard of this show. Have you, Krishna?
No, Dunkbait. Sounds like clickbait or something.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Moving on.
Yeah, anyway, something really cool. So, hopefully we'll see what the future presents. I think it's interesting that the story of Colin Kaepernick, and especially now, the world and things are happening, I'm pretty excited to see what this series will look like and,
Yeah, actually,
rip it apart.
Since we kind of know a writer, but you're the one who's talked to him so far, how far along are they in the process?
We're still well with it, early pre-production.
So they're still drafting ideas.
They just announced it today.
They don't have a script or anything.
Correct. Hollywood Reporter dropped it. Variety did a follow-up piece on it later in the day.
Wow, you know your publications.
I mean, I can read.
But let's be honest. We shouldn't really expect this anytime soon.
Well, no. I mean, I would assume that due to the current events, coronavirus. I mean, it was only recently that the Los Angeles city, allowed certain films to start refilming.
And that's going to get shut down real quick.
I mean, as the taping of this podcast, we know that bars in the Los Angeles County area are closing back up. We know that ahead of the July 4th weekend, all of the beaches, walkways, parking structures.
What about Airbnbs, Rafi?
We don't know yet.
Oh.
We don't know if Airbnbs are going to be affected because we're all planning a trip out to Joshua Tree.
Yeah.
So who knows?
Well, but we don't. Yeah, that might not happen.
At least we got the food.
Yeah, exactly. Worst case, we'll just hunker down and eat a bunch of July 4th food. And booze. But before we get to the giveaway, before we get to all that fun stuff, I think it would be fun. Actually, that's a terrible way to transition. But we all
I did read the outline.
yeah, I guess I did it actually.
Forgot the outline.
I threw the outline out the window. I was like, "Fuck it, this is how we're."
I spend 6.2 hours a day for 7 days a week on this outline.
It's pretty terrible.
I spend over 42 hours on this outline.
So, first film that we're going to talk about is actually a film from 2018 that did make not headways, but was a very interesting film to come out during that time period. And with recent events with the Black Lives Matter movement and George Floyd and all that stuff that's happening, the studio right behind the film, so the film is The Hate You Give, they actually released it for free across a variety of streaming platforms: Prime, Netflix, Hulu, HBO Max, other stuff that I'm probably forgetting. So I don't think anyone here watched this film in 2018. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Correct. I wanted to see it, but I never got a chance to go see it. It's one of those movies that had a short theater run. I think it was only in theaters for 2 weeks, and if you didn't get in those 2 weeks, it was hard to kind of find in movie theaters.
And it released, just so everyone's aware, October of 2018. I will say personally, I don't usually watch a whole lot of films in theaters during that period, mostly because I save all of my movie-going experience for the big blockbusters because I'm a brainwashed consumer.
Wow.
So that's my excuse.
Self-aware, brainwashed consumer.
Yes, I'm learning.
He's an AI.
Sentient.
But yeah, I checked out this film I think a week ago. I think you all watched it more recently. Right off the bat, it's a very hard hitting film. It's based off a book, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
It is based off a book. I don't know if the book is autobiographical.
No, it's a fictional book.
It's totally fictional, obviously with a literal shit ton of real life examples and research and all that fun stuff. Like it's not it's a work of fiction, but it feels like it could be real life.
Yeah, I mean,
For all the wrong reasons.
Yeah, I mean, this film came out in 2018. Prior to that, we had, the recent marches and protests for Breonna Taylor, for George Floyd. They are much bigger, much louder than previous ones, but they are not anything new.
Right.
The country has been protesting these types of social justices for, decades at this point, unfortunately.
And I think that is perhaps the biggest takeaway from watching the movie today, this year, is that when you realize the movie came out in 2018, and you could say the movie was made this year, right?
Well, yeah,
because it's just so relevant. Nothing has changed.
I think it's just fascinating, even in our own conversation, right? We had to ask the question: was it a real story? Was it? Because it is. It's pretty. I mean, it's pretty. Even though it is a quote unquote fictional young adult novel that came out in 2017, it is very real. And the sad part is, even in 2 years, it potentially the fictional part, and I'm sure we'll get to this, but the fictional part is potentially the ending, where there's more hope in the movie than there might be actually in real life.
Yikes.
That is a little scary. But diving into like kind of the nitty gritty filmmaking aspects of the Hate You Give, one area or one thing that I really enjoyed with the film was the color palette. So between the main character Star and her two various environments, so going to kind of the white preppy high school or whatever, and then kind of like her home life into in the harder hit area or whatever. So, it's a warmer palette compared to the high school where it's a blue type palette.
Yeah, so the high school is called Williamson, and the neighborhood's called Garden Heights.
Is that a real place? I have to ask because I don't know.
I think it's fictional, but I'm not sure. I think technically, I think the names are fictional, but again, it's a fictional name, but probably a real based off
real things. Sure. I mean, one of the big things, in terms of the cast, we had a lot of people, a lot of big names. Common, Regina Hall was in there. Anthony Mackie was in there, and Anthony Mackie portrayed a drug lord, King, who basically, and I thought that was one aspect of the film that was kind of really grounded in like what is actually happening in America, where you've got these lower based income residential areas that aren't getting the same kind of access money wise that other communities are getting. People can't get jobs, businesses are closed down, crime rate is higher, people turn to selling drugs, other type stuff in order to make money. I mean, that's very unfortunately true to what's happening in the country currently and has been happening.
Oh, forever, yeah. So I mean, that's another. I got during parts of this movie, I got like strong Wire vibes. The subject matter that how The Wire did a great job of looking at all the aspects of society that contribute to the drug problem in America, the war on drugs, and that's everything from the education system, the housing. All of that right. stuff, and I got like a little bit of
institutional racism.
Yeah,
I mean, call it what it is, right? That's that's a big part of these protests. That there's, especially black people in America are just given, the benefit and the what's the word I'm looking for? The privilege that white people get is just simply not there for black people and other people of color. And that is because you're starting 400 years back.
Yeah.
Essentially because of all of these different things and all of these different systems that are just basically made to look quote unquote fair, but they're rigged. And I think the movie does a pretty good job of showing that with education, with housing, with employment, and all that type of stuff.
Ravi brought up the color palette as his I don't know if that's the thing that made the biggest impression on you, for me, the thing that made the biggest impression has to be the performances. That's they didn't feel like performances. It felt like every single person in this movie didn't have to dig too far to act, because all of these people, you get the feeling, probably have some very painful, powerful experiences that they can draw upon to portray these characters.
One actor I really want to call out it was Russell Hornsby, who played Maverick Carter, the dad. I thought he had a really powerful performance. And, when this movie came out in 2018, there was some buzz about it, but it didn't, in the mainstream, like Oscar type of awards, it wasn't nominated for anything. And I thought, I can't remember who was nominated in 2018, but I think he should have at least been in the discussion, because I thought his character was great. And the scene that sticks out to me was after he is harassed by Anthony Mackie's King character at the diner after Star has gone on television. They come back to the house, and he has his kids line up, and he has them recite the Malcolm X text. And that, to me, was like a super powerful scene that I really, really liked.
Speaking of Oscars and being nominated, so we would be looking at the 2019 Oscar nominations, correct?
Yeah, because it would be
Would you all like to know the 2019 Oscar nominees
was this
for
the
Best
Oscars
Actor?
so white? Yeah. Go ahead.
Bradley Cooper.
For what?
For A Star Is Born. Christian Bale for Vice. Viggo Mortensen for Green Book. William Dafoe for At Attorney's Gate. And, hold on, Rami Malek for Bohemian Rhapsody. So,
Poor.
Yeah.
Very poor.
The fact that I saw Green Book, and Green Book is the biggest, like, it's did you guys ever see The Blind Side?
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
You know how it was like a white savior type movie?
Yeah.
The Green Book was like
Same
same. I think it was the same producers.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And
who was the best actresses for that year? Because I personally think the main character portrayed by Amandla Stenberg.
Yeah.
I thought she was incredible.
She carried the movie, like as a lead. She did a great job.
I'm not gonna lie. Some of her lines and her performance, made me emotional.
Here we go. Ready?
I also felt the pain and the contradiction that she felt she was going through.
Right.
Being two different people. She portrayed that so well. I felt her pain.
So the Best Actress nominees for 2019. Lady Gaga, A Star Is Born.
Oh, fuck me.
Olivia Colman, The Favorite, spelled with a U.
I saw that movie.
Glenn Close, The Wife. Melissa McCarthy, Can You Ever Forgive Me? And Yeltsa Aparicio for Roma.
Moving on.
Yes. Let's just move on.
I did. Roma was a good movie.
Oh yeah, no, don't get me wrong. About 10% of every name that he just said is probably deserved.
But still 10%.
I'm gonna leave it right there. 10%. Yeah.
Anyway, the ending is my only thing with The Hate You Give that I did not like. I look at it as two endings. There's the ending in terms of like Star's story and what her family's going through and like the rioting and all that stuff, and it kind of ends where it's like, we're going to do better. And that's, I think, is needed, because you do want to leave a movie and still be like, maybe humanity isn't a giant piece of poop.
Yeah.
The other part of the ending was Anthony Mackie's character
Getting arrested.
King was arrested because all of the store owners rised up together and were no longer afraid. And I was like, that's not how it works. It's not that quickly.
It's convenient.
Yeah.
Very
it's
convenient.
Stupid Hollywood like convenience where it's like, okay, sure, you can. I get it. It's a movie. It's Hollywood. You don't want your audience to be like sad
what's
or whatever.
the point of life?
Yeah.
Because honestly, I like the ending, and here's why. If I want a realistic portrayal of what's going on, I will turn on the news.
Sure.
If I'm watching a movie, you give me my goddamn Hollywood ending.
Yeah.
That ending was needed, and you had to have it a bow like that, because the movie is too hard-hitting and painful otherwise. Right? And I'm not saying – some people might say that, maybe it detracts away from the message and the power of what's going on, like by wrapping up in a bow. Maybe it's like, you know what? Maybe things aren't so bad. Maybe some people could take that message. I don't think so. After a movie like that, I want to feel some hope.
Yeah.
Some hope.
Right. I agree with both of you. I don't think the ending detracts from the message, but I do agree with Ravi that it was a little too convenient with King's character. I have a feeling the movie already ran over 2 hours. I would bet on the cutting room floor was a little bit more development, potentially with King and some of the business owners that made that scene make more sense. Not that it didn't make sense. It just felt like a leap, right?
Yeah, it was basically drugs are ruining the community. Store owners are too afraid to say anything. Then Star's in her father's shop. The building's burning. 2 other store owners help, witness and see that King is a bad guy. Ooh, big shocker there. And then let's rise up together. The end.
I mean, there is the big scene.
I love it.
There is the climactic scene of the little brother holding the gun to the.
Yeah, that shit was like. I honestly
I didn't see that coming.
I thought the cops were gonna
shoot him.
Do what the cops that we've seen as of late do.
Well, that's why it's a movie, right? It has the good ending, and then we the audience, sadly, especially in 2020, know
the real ending.
What the real ending would be?
Where they shoot the kid.
They shoot the kid and everybody. They all die at the end.
Oh my God.
That would be I mean, it's
not
sad,
they all
right?
die, but they would shoot the kid and then arrest everyone else.
Yeah.
And that's like and that's what's sad, that you have to watch a movie that talks about stuff that's dark, and that's the happy ending, right?
Yeah.
That they get to live.
Yeah.
And it's not even unfortunately true to real life.
Yeah.
At
least that's not what's portrayed.
Right. But that's why movies like that, I give credit, even though the cynic in me says, why are the studios releasing this movie for free? Oh, because they want the PR move and the PR win, right? And show like, oh, we produce good movies with black filmmakers and stuff. I get that. The cynic in me is like, yeah, they're just going for the PR win. But I am glad that a movie like this, which is made by people of color, right? Which is based off of a book by people of color, portrayed by people with people of color in it, is readily available for people to watch. Because, look at the three of us, we watch a lot of movies. Did any of us see it 2 years ago? No. And I'm glad that that's happening because it's needed. Like we need to consume this type of media and see it.
And there needs to be equal coverage, media, equal advertisement.
Exactly.
Of that stuff. So you even know it's there.
Right. Because I mean, I know 2018 was a long time ago, but how many trailers did you see for The Hate U Give when it came out? Like, did you know when it came out, or how in your face was it compared to other movies of the same type of budget and everything?
Yeah.
So is that something then a movie studio? And maybe we're jumping ahead a little bit to our was it good news, but like Hollywood's reaction to everything. Yeah. We've seen, and we'll talk about this a little bit later in a little bit more depth in detail in terms of like how Hollywood is reacting to TV series and movies that have blackface. They're pulling the episodes.
Yep.
In some situations they're pulling characters that aren't even doing blackface, but are just putting on makeup essentially, or portraying a dark elf or whatever it is. How is Hollywood going to react? I personally think it would be interesting if Hollywood did spend the same amount of money, in terms of advertisement dollars on, films that are produced by black voices, etc., or people of color. But I guess, once again, if you sit down with a studio exec, they'll probably paint the picture as, well, it comes down to what's going to sell.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
It is business for them, so I don't know where that happy balance is, and I don't think we are qualified to figure that out.
Oh,
well, there's a great horror movie that came out years ago, right, by the director Jordan Peele, and it's called Get Out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was a fantastic horror movie, and
I thought it was a love story.
What did they? what did Hollywood do? It got nominated as a Golden Globe for a comedy.
Well, that's because the Golden Globes, like the Oscars, is filled with people that think they know what they're doing, but clearly don't know what they're doing.
And that's the issue.
And that's not based on gender, race, or anything. That's just being a fucking moron.
Well, yeah, you're probably not wrong. It's sad.
Anywho, Krishna, was The Hate You Give good?
Oh, absolutely. It was fantastic. I love the ending because I needed it for my movie. Otherwise, I would have just felt bad the rest of the day. And I already felt bad. So, Arjuna, was The Hate You Give good?
Yes, it was. And if I had to go back and rank 2018 movies, I think it would be near the top of my list of 2018 movies.
Wow. How far back does your list ranking go?
I just started this in 2020. I watch so many movies. I want to start just ranking them as I watch throughout, and so I kind of know at the end of the year what did I think of movies as it went, and then does it change as the year goes on? You know.
I have a similar thing, but it's simply if I remember the movie, it was probably really good or really bad, and so then all I have to do is remember if it was good or bad.
Krishna, let's be honest.
Simple.
You don't remember. You don't remember yesterday.
Because it probably wasn't good, or probably wasn't bad. So there you go.
He has a point.
Ravi, was The Hate You Give good?
Oh, yes. Sorry. I forgot who you at. Were you asked already?
I said yes.
Oh, I was not listening at all to your answer.
Oh, my God.
Apologies. Like I said, the only thing that I didn't like was the cookie cutter ending in terms of Anthony Mackie, the King's.
The King character.
The King character.
What did you guys see? This for me, this is the first time I've seen Anthony Mackie in a villainous role.
I'm sorry. Was the Falcon a good guy?
What?
I mean,
Falcon is the best
speaking
guy.
of cookie cutter, no characterization characters, let's talk about the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
No, let's not. That's a fucking pile of poop.
Well, actually, I don't see this in our news, so maybe this is actually a perfect place for it. Anthony Mackie did recently come out in an interview, and he was giving a few details on what's it called, Falcon and the Winter Soldier or whatever.
Yep.
And he basically said that it's going to be a 6-hour Marvel movie.
Oh.
Which either means it's either it's going to be fantastic or too much.
Well,
we don't know yet.
they also said for a potential season 2, they said they could do it, but it could not have the same title.
What? Oh my God! Is one of them gonna die?
That's the insinuation.
Or is one of them gonna actually take up the Captain America?
That's the
Marvel?
other insinuation.
Yeah.
So the rumor is that. Well, I don't want to spoil it for anyone.
Well, here, real quick, on the Winter Soldier and the Falcon, just do what you did to Steve Rogers' character in terms of making him super interesting in Captain America 2, Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Do that same type of treatment for Falcon in the series, and we'll be good. If you don't do that, and it's a washy-washy like what they've done to the Falcon so far, that means Hollywood's not listening, and finger.
To be honest, for a show to work,
You
generally have to have slightly deeper characters. But you're right. Do we trust Disney?
And Marvel's going to prove you wrong.
Yeah.
Introducing no actors.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
Well, actually, stay tuned for Was It News, because we have some fun acting news.
We do?
With humans and actors and things of that nature.
Speaking of actors,
Yes.
what's our next? I was providing you with a layup.
What a terrible transition.
That was a great transition if someone was paying attention.
Transitioning into the next talking point. The recently revamped, reimagined The Twilight Zone based on the
1966.
Sure, the old black and white Twilight Zone from when our grandmother was
1959.
Yeah, our age essentially.
Jesus.
That's how old the Twilight Zone is. It's old as dirt. Oh wow, that was rude. Yes.
Rude, it's true.
So the new revamped Twilight Zone on CBS All Access, executive producer Jordan Peele presents us season 2. Biggest shocker of season 2.
Yes.
The entire season 2 was dropped on the same day.
Yeah.
Was that ever announced?
I don't think it was. That's why I kept looking at it and going, is this a fuck? Did someone fuck up and just go, what happened there? Anyone? Nobody knows?
I do think so. CBS All Access is confused.
It's a dumpster fire.
Well, yeah, because Paramount and Viacom obviously came back together, and now they're thinking of well, what do they want to do for their super streaming service or whatever? And I get, they're assuming should it be CBS All Access? Should they just pull the plug on it and try something new? Because the issue is Like the Twilight Zone and the Star Trek series are all exclusive to that streaming service. They're not on CBS, the channel. And so that's where the confusion was. And but the thing, CBS All Access was one of the first to do that of the major networks who have their streaming platform idea thing. And most of their shows have sucked.
Yeah.
So
maybe all of them.
What, CBS All Access?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Arjun. Did you not see the great Jean-Luc Picard series?
Yeah, Ravi,
where nothing made fucking sense?
You hated it.
It was garbage.
And then Star Trek Discovery has had a lot of lows and not many highs.
Yeah.
And the Twilight Zone has had some good episodes
and some bad episodes.
But more bad than good, I would say. And I would say this is continuing that trend.
Interesting. I thought it was a perfectly mediocre. So right now we're only going to talk about episode 1, right?
Yes, that's all I watched.
So even though they dropped the entire season, I think we only had time for the first episode. I thought it was fine. I didn't think it was bad. It was an interesting premise. Sure, it kind of dragged on in places. But I thought it was, it was fine. It was interesting. It held my attention.
My biggest issue when I think of Twilight Zone, right, I think of quintessential sci-fi that pushes the boundary, right, in terms of what it presents original science fiction ideas, right? If you watch the original, those are some of the great, quote unquote, the great sci-fi.
Well, I want to explain something real quick, Juna. There's no such thing as original sci-fi anymore. When Twilight Zone came out,
I agree.
They were during the time of original sci-fi.
No, but I agree. But here's the thing: when you can sit there and predict the whole episode,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
That is an issue. Season 1 had episodes where it left me on the edge of my seat, and I
didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, I didn't know what was going on, and it was still entertaining, right? Was it groundbreaking? No, I wouldn't say anything in the Twilight Zone was groundbreaking, but it was still entertaining enough and well done enough where it was a complete story that I liked and I couldn't predict. This episode was super predictable.
Yeah.
And it was just super vanilla.
Have you all? So a couple of things. So this episode, obviously, season 2, episode 1. It stars Jimmy Simpson playing the lead character,
William,
and then also Jillian Jacobs, better known as Britta from Community.
Yes.
Basically, the story is they're inside each other's head. One of them manipulates the other one to go and commit a heinous crime in order to free herself and become anew or whatever, which was interesting. So it plays upon the idea of self-worth, finding that connection, and then, just grand old human manipulation.
Mm-hmm.
I believe this story was already done in the original series. So there's roughly 4 seasons of the OG Twilight Zone. And I don't know if you guys have watched much of it, but a lot of it is similar to what we're seeing with the current revamp of Twilight Zone. A lot of it was hit and miss. There were a lot of episodes, even for that time period, when it didn't necessarily go over people's head, but it was just kind of like, this is a stupid story, and just I hate everything about it. And season 1, we definitely saw a couple of episodes where
they're duds.
They're just duds, and they were just there to fill up space. I think the thing that's interesting with Twilight Zone is that it tries to stick, for the most part, it kind of follows what I call the Gene Roddenberry science fiction formula, which is science fiction in a present-day world in terms of the things that are happening, right? Season 1 had an interesting episode relating to events that are happening now that dealt with, racism. I forget, it was the mother and son in the diner, and she's repeating the same loop over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So there's that. And watching this episode, I was kind of looking at it, and I was wondering, are they playing? Was this a perfect storm in terms of with coronavirus, being indoors, being stuck with your own thoughts, and finding that connection or whatever? Is that what that episode is playing upon?
I bet they moved it around. I bet they moved the order around. And
that's what I was wondering.
The first episode.
That's what I was wondering, if this is the original run through.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, that's always been the interesting thing with Twilight Zone. I agree with Arjun and what you were saying too, where it's we're in an age where it is very difficult to come up with brand new, weird, sci-fi-esque type issue or type shows.
Yeah.
Black Mirror, I think its first couple seasons, and they still get 1 or 2 off where it's whoa, this is bizarre. I still consider, and Jordan Peele, please don't be mad, but I still consider like Black Mirror more this generation's Twilight Zone than the show Twilight Zone being this.
That's why I'm afraid
Zone.
to watch Black Mirror.
Well, which is funny because Jimmy Simpson, who's in this, has a great Black Mirror episode, which is the
Star Trek
esque one where he's a character on the ship. It also stars the actor who played Todd in Breaking Bad.
Oh, amazing!
Just that is for me that might be my favorite Black Mirror episode because it's just.
By far, mine is still Bandersnatch because it plays upon this.
Yeah, that's also well done.
Wild, choose your own adventure, and it's a great fusion of storytelling and actual
gameplay,
and technology and whatever. So
yeah, that was wild.
I mean, nothing ever beats the first episode. Am I right?
Pig fucking.
Well, actually, speaking of pigs, we do have a comment from Mother of Pickle 123. Did anyone ever see the Twilight Zone episode where they look like pig aliens? Because I actually have not seen that one.
That sounds familiar, but I don't think I've seen it. I remember the
That'd
Doctor
probably
Who
be
episode.
an original one, right? That sounds like it would be an original one. Pig aliens.
Well, I mean, this is the third revival, so there's been 4 series of Twilight Zone.
You mean the 3 revival? 3?
No, there's 4.
There's 4?
There's the original from 59 to 64. There was the first revival from 85 to 89. The second revival from 02 to 03.
Yeah, is that with Forrest Whitaker?
Yeah.
02 to 03 is Forrest Whitaker.
I want to go back and watch those ones because I was 12 or 13 when that came out. I don't think I sat through and watched all of it, but I'd be curious to see what that one's about. Yeah.
I mean, so if these sci-fi shows like Black Mirror and Twilight Zone are a reflection of current times, it would be fascinating to go back because if it came out when 03,
yeah,
such a simpler world. I feel maybe not.
No,
maybe not.
The world was on full on
that's post 9/11.
Yeah, that was full on invasion of privacy. Yeah. Or no more privacy and all that fun stuff.
Oh, that's true. The Patriot Act.
And that was before your surge in what the internet can really do. The height of the internet at that point was AOL Instant Messenger.
There was no Twitter.
Well, there was
or
also,
Instagram or Facebook.
Well, that was also the start of forums, which would eventually become these big social media platforms. That was the beginning of it.
Right.
So yeah, I'd be curious to go see it because maybe they predicted what we're seeing now. Who knows? But yeah, speaking specifically of season 2, episode 1, Meet in the Middle. Would you guys say that was good?
No.
Yeah, it was not good.
I would not say it was good. Christian, come on. Don't triple frontier this.
Was it good? No. It was interesting, and it wasn't bad, but I can't say it was good.
All right. Was it better than Triple Frontier?
No, it was not better than Triple
Then it wasn't
Frontier.
good.
Yeah.
That's your low bar.
No, Triple Frontier is not my low bar. It's my medium higher bar.
Speaking
Oh, God.
speaking of low bars,
What? Oh, yes.
No, it wasn't good. Can we move on now?
Oh, man.
in honor of the American holiday, America's birthday, July 4th, Independence Day, we typically here in the Ramgopal household have a tradition where on July 4th, we usually throw on, even if it's in the background, Independence Day, starring great people like Will Smith, Jeff Goldblum,
Bill Pullman.
that one asshole general guy,
Vivica A. Fox.
the CIA,
Oh, yeah.
the CIA, stripper.
Wow, Abby. Wow.
Oh, well, Nikki from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Nikki from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And obviously,
The drunk pilot.
Oh,
guy.
Brent Spiner.
Brent Spiner's in it, Data. But obviously the best alien formation and group ever. I don't actually know what they're called, just aliens.
Yeah, I don't think they name them. They're just
not
aliens.
The aliens.
named,
Yeah.
Let's go kick some alien ass.
Great film. And then back in 2015, I think was when we heard the news that
16 maybe?
Well, 2016 is when it came out, but I believe news started surfacing in 2015.
Okay.
Roland Emmerich had finally convinced a studio and people to follow him into glory again.
I want to know how he did it. I want to know how he convinced someone to make the movie we're about to review.
Independence Day.
Because the first one did well.
Independence
It's
Day.
20 years ago.
Oh, I know.
Independence Day Resurgence, the 2016 follow-up sequel to the 1996 film Independence Day.
Yeah. What a horrendous disappointment it was.
And
it still is. It didn't get better overnight.
The most memorable part of the movie isn't the movie itself. It's the experience that we had. We went to the TCL Chinese Theater
Yes.
on Sunset on Hollywood Boulevard here in Hollywood, Los Angeles.
Back when going to a theater was allowed.
Yes, and this was Fandango had been around for years. They
This was
had
the
an
first
app.
time that
Oh, was
TCL.
Was this the seating debacle?
Yeah.
Yes. So we got
Oh.
there, and there was a seating debacle. They had like double, and
Triple.
in some
Triple booked.
some cases, triple booked seats. Now, this was the premiere. This was Thursday night, like 8:00. This was the first public showing of the movie in one of the iconic theaters in
One of
Los
the premier
Angeles.
Are you
theaters of
sure
the
it was that
world.
late? I thought it was like.
Could have been 5.
I
6.
I think it was early in the day.
No. It was Thursday night. This was the first showing.
You're right. No, but I think it was because it's a summer blockbuster and they'll do sometimes the midday ones
Yeah.
or earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was like a super because we went into the theater when it was bright out and we left when it was still bright out.
But remember, it still could have been 5 to 7 something, and it still would have been bright.
That's true.
But here's the thing, right? This is the first showing. This is supposed to be a big blockbuster for summer. They triple book seats, right? So we're like, oh no, people aren't going to have anywhere to sit. No, there was tons of empty seats just to shuffle people to the sides and everything. But the funny part was people were like, I want to sit in the middle for this movie. And then they just had to kind of go off. They had to go off like whoever got there first, right?
Yeah. It's
The
always left a bad taste of the Chinese theater in my mouth.
The
Yeah.
biggest surprise watching this film wasn't how shitty and incohesive the storyline was. Wasn't like the new information that we got about this alien race and suddenly they have harvest ships and queens and they can't function.
Multiple queens.
They can't function without the queen, and they may have destroyed the queen the first time around. That's why they won. It's the fact that the CGI just doesn't hold up 4 years later. But when you throw an Independence Day from 1996 and you watch it, even like the remastered one, you look at that and you're like, whoa, that's actually pretty good effects. And here's the reason why. And I was watching this and it drove me nuts. Majority of the aliens that we see are CG'd. And most of the aliens, or majority of the aliens that we see in the original, are puppets, animatronics.
And they look way better.
And they just look way better. They're way more creepy. And you just can't beat it. You just cannot beat physical over like the digital stuff.
And I want to point out, well, especially when the CGI is that bad, there's one scene in
Resurgence.
Independence Day Resurgence, and where I think I said it out loud. I'm like, the Sci-Fi Channel today does a better job on CGI. And near the end, when all the ships are circling the Queen,
I remember
and we've
this.
got our two sets of pilots, human pilots, and they turn on the fusion afterburners.
Oh, and
And then they're on fire and they're going around like this. That looks like an After Effects effect that I could do.
No,
And I don't know how to use After Effects.
This is how bad it looks. Back when we got our first camera in the mid-2000s, we used an editing software called Pinnacle.
I don't remember
And
that.
Pinnacle.
Oh yeah, Pinnacle. I remember
Pinnacle
that.
That sounds
had
like those studios.
Pinnacle had these preset like freebie animations you could use that would flash words in the middle of the screen when you'd use it. I only remember this because we made like a movie where people would disappear and there'd be like this lightning effect, but it'd also have like the Pinnacle right in the middle. That's how bad it
Oh,
was.
it's the free version. That's why.
Yeah. Yeah. So it looked like our effects in 2005 with the words Pinnacle in the middle of it looked better than that shit.
Stargate season like 6
Yes.
or 7.
Yes.
When they would have their big epic like space battles were fucking
Looked
better.
better. I mean, it doesn't. But honestly though, there's no call like It makes me mad because
You know what's gonna
a
make you
big
more mad?
studio like that should never look that shitty ever. Right? I can't be the only one who thinks that.
What about
Why is no one else backing me up here?
Okay, but you know what's gonna make you more mad? The budget of the movie was $165 million.
Like, is that high? Is that low? Is
That's-
that like?
So okay,
for the time that's about mid-range.
Oh,
Well, no. To put that in comparison, right? Captain America: Civil War came out the same year, right? Another big blockbuster, visual, spectacular movie had a budget of $250 million.
Also, $100 million less.
oh, okay. Well,
There you go.
That-
Money buys effects.
That's just so. All the money went to what? Liam Hemsworth? Like what? What the fuck?
No, it went to Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah.
Who, by the way, he was still great in this film. I thought he was one of the saving graces because he was still Jeff Goldblum. A little more sad because he had 20 years to prepare and he still fucked it up.
Well,
That's kind of
a
embarrassing.
little more sad
Very, very on
because
his character. Very on brand.
his wife, ex-wife, then wife again was killed off screen. His 2-minute best friend in Will Smith also died off screen. And his dad, for some reason, was still alive and driving a school bus.
Hey, and the actor didn't age at all. He looks exactly the same.
He Julius. Yeah, Julius.
That was
did not
amazing.
age. Yeah,
that was great. Do we think so? The whole plan originally, and we're just going off of rumors. There is no official words here, but the movie did not do as well as the studio had hoped.
Wait, I'm shocked.
And
the movie did make.
I'm kidding. I'm not
make
shocked.
$389.7 million in the worldwide box office.
Did they think it was going to make $1 billion?
Yes.
No, they probably at least wanted about $500 million.
Yeah.
But it's a shitty movie.
Because the thought was that movie did well.
Yeah.
Roland would then be able to reboot or do a sequel to the Stargate franchise.
Yeah.
And then follow up with a third film to the Independence Day franchise, which would take our heroes into deep space to fight this big galactic war. Now, me being a sci-fi nerd and just kind of, laughing at all of this, I would have enjoyed seeing something like that. Especially if I had AMC Pass, because it wouldn't really cost anything. But unfortunately, Roland did not get his.
What do you mean,
his
unfortunately?
Bag.
Thank God.
And we're not getting a Stargate reboot or
that
sequel.
Tease at the end of Resurgence is so cringy. It's like, we must now fight a new war.
Yeah. Honestly, I've never seen such a bad. Who in their right mind gets excited to lose millions of lives in an intergalactic war? Because that's what's going to happen. Do they not realize that? We're going to go up against a technologically superior enemy, and we're going to fight them, and we're going to get involved in this intergalactic war. Let's go kick some alien ass, and everyone's like, yeah! Not realizing that they're going to lose millions of lives.
There are better scenes that tag the future, which never happened in the DCEU than they did in this movie. Justice League with Deathstroke.
Oh, man. Okay, I got the ultimate question, because there's no point in even asking. Was this good?
This was great. It was better than the original.
Is Independence Day Resurgence better than Justice League? That's the question. Arjuna, I'm sorry with Arjuna. Arjuna, is Independence Day Resurgence better than the DCEU's Justice League?
Is there a third option?
No, there is no third option. This, I think, is the perfect answer.
I can answer this easily. It's actually like a no-brainer.
Go ahead.
I think it is better than Justice League. Because Justice League, anytime I watch it, even if it's a clip, I stand up and I start shouting at this TV screen of how stupid Justice League is. Because it makes so little sense. Even the actors are so annoying in terms of how they portray these awesome characters.
Yeah.
While at least with Independence Day Resurgence, I can remember the good times with Will Smith. And Jeff Goldblum is still there, and he's a little wacky, whatever. He's still this weird wackadoodle nutter. And Bill Pullman's character is kind of the same thing. It's like he was this awesome president who led the world, and now he's cray-cray. And then there's Brent Spiner as well, which I think is interesting.
I'm glad you went first. So you are going to say that Resurgence is better than Justice League because of the past.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say Justice League is better because of a potential future.
Ooh.
The Snyder Cut.
Well, that's silly. The Snyder Cut could make it worse.
Yeah, but at this point, right,
Yep.
the Justice League has untapped potential. Independence Day is dead. It's dead. It's been beaten to death with a stick. Therefore, Justice League is better.
I'm just going to go with
a train wreck is better.
I would rather watch literally anything else other than those other
The
two
Thomas the
movies.
Tank Engine 2000 remade movie. That doesn't sound
I would
like
watch.
I mean, that's
would
a good
watch that.
movie.
Yeah, I would watch
There's
I
a
don't know
Thomas
what
the
you're
Tank
talking
Engine
about.
movie?
Yeah, I had it on DVD.
Oh,
That's
like
weird.
an old one. Anyways.
Anyway, Resurgence, not good. Don't bother watching it. Watch the original on the glorious Independence Day.
Yeah, even if
The
you
movie
just
called The Independence Day.
even if you just turn on for Bill Pullman's
Speech?
the greatest movie speech in all of movie history, that's fine.
So we're jumping right into Was It News? Arjun, I think you'll start us off with the anime characters.
Sure. Yeah, so with everything going on, there has been
Well, hold on a second. Someone just hit me up. Alec Baldwin is in the Thomas the Tank Engine movie?
He is the conductor in the Thomas Tank movie.
What the fuck?
Yeah, it's a great movie.
This might be a movie we have to review because I don't remember this. Have I seen it?
Yeah, I mean, I probably forced you guys to watch it. I was like 7 when it came out.
Holy shit, that's
and I used to sing. I used to sing the songs and everything.
Anyway, what's the good news?
Was it news? Was it news?
Yes, was it news?
Was it good news?
Yeah. So there's been obviously, with everything going on, so many industries have had to kind of reassess what they're doing. That includes the industries that we talk about here in the movie and the TV world. Animated shows, I know we haven't reviewed a lot. I mean, we've done Voltron in the past. Have we done any other ones besides Voltron? Oh, Attack on Titan. Which is more of an anime.
Those might be the only two.
But a lot of actors in the in Hollywood produced animated shows who voice so white actors who have been voicing characters of color are starting to now step down from these roles, feeling that they're appropriating a culture that is not theirs, and that those characters should be voiced by actors of the respective colors. So the notable ones are Apu in The Simpsons, who is a very white stereotype of an Indian, right? Running a quickie mart, having the very, exaggerated accent.
Is it exaggerated? Yes.
And to be fair, this has been an issue with The Simpsons for years. I think in 2017, there's a documentary that came out about the Apu voice. They even had a very controversial Simpsons episode where they addressed it, and Lisa looked right at the camera and said, what's funny? Like, when you come up with a fun character and no one bats an eye, and then later people, talk about it, they kind of, it was a tongue-in-cheek, criticism of the criticism. Like, we're not going to change our minds and, blah, blah, blah.
But now they are.
Well, they are now, and so earlier this year, Hank Azaria announced himself that he's like, you know what? I've heard what people have said, and I'm going to step down from the role. He's like, I voice a ton of characters on this show, and it's like, I don't know what they're going to do with the character, but I will no longer be voicing Apu.
Aziz Ansari.
I mean, that's a whole nother
Aziz
issue.
Ansari from South Carolina, born and raised in America, should voice Apu.
But but now it is official. He is no longer doing it. The other big ones being Cleveland from Family Guy will no longer be voiced by. Go ahead.
Real quick.
Yes.
On the Apu character.
Yes.
Shah Rukh Khan. He should voice Apu. That would be fucking hilarious.
They couldn't afford him.
Probably not.
Yeah.
So Cleveland from Family Guy is another one. Missy from Big Mouth is another one. And I think those are the 3 big ones. Did I write any other ones down?
Missy is what, the high school kid or the?
She's one of the kids in well, they're all in middle school.
Oh, okay.
But she's
gotcha.
I think half black, half Jewish.
Gotcha.
In the show, and then it's not a character, but Disney Parks has announced that all characters of color for their rides will no longer be voiced by white actors. They'll be voiced by their respective.
What does that
actor.
mean?
So, for example, right, in Mulan, the singing voice of Mulan and the main guy, I always forget his name. The captain that she falls in love with.
Captain.
The voice actors were Asian,
Mm-hmm.
but the singing voices were white.
Oh.
So they would, if they did a singing for Mulan on the ride, they would probably have an Asian singer.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing is my voice singing career has a potential?
Maybe?
No.
Okay.
Because you can't
I've
sing.
been told that I'm tone deaf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Oh, the captain's name was Shang.
Shang, that's
Thank
it.
you,
Oh.
Mother of Pickle 1.
Shang.
Rafi, we also have a request.
Yes.
You need to sing someone to either prove or disprove your tone deafness.
I'm not going to do that right now.
All right,
So,
well, you're a coward.
so what do you guys think? Do you think this is an overreaction? Do you think this is appropriate? I mean, I know I have some thoughts myself, and I can go first if you guys want me to.
Yeah, go ahead. Set the table.
So I feel like I've always have found it weird when it's been a white actor voicing a character of color.
The weirdest one I think is Cleveland. by far.
Yeah, and the weird part of that is they did a whole spin-off
Yep.
and everything, and they're like, yeah, we have diversity. We have this black character. It's a very white guy that voices Cleveland.
Yeah.
But I think the issue doesn't stem from the voice actors. I mean, I think obviously the voice actors, you take work where you can get it, right?
Yep.
I think the issue is in the writing staffs of these shows, right? If you look at all of these shows, it's majority a white writing staff, and it's a white writing staff writing characters of color from the lens of a white person. And so these characters are whitewashed, which is why I think culturally it's accepted, like, yeah, why can't a white man voice a black character? Well, because this is the view of a black character through a white lens.
Yeah.
Same thing with Apu, right? Like, Apu is 100%. He is an Indian character, but that is the like white lens, the stereotype of an Indian character, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's what it is. And I think the true thing that needs to be fixed, and people have been calling for this for years, even before, our recent events, is just more diversity in this type of content. Like if you want a diverse cast on an animated show, you need a diverse writing staff.
Yep.
I think it's very simple, right? You can't if you had a show like let's take Blackish for example, right? On the show on ABC about a black family. If the show like Blackish was written by a majority white staff, it would be a very bad show because it would be black characters through the eyes of white people, not black characters from black people.
Right. Isn't that what it is?
I believe I believe the majority of that staff is black.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, moving into other areas around the same topic, shows are removing, like we talked about earlier, removing shows where blackface is shown. Most notable ones are 30 Rock, Community, South Park, The Office, Golden Girls, Scrubs. What do we think about that? The one that stuck out here was in Community. Arjuna verified this. They're specifically removing the episode where Chang comes into the room, but he's not doing blackface. He's doing a dark elf.
Yes.
But obviously Chang is Asian, lighter skinned, and then they painted him all in black to make him a dark elf.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do we think by fully removing episodes, this is, again, a little too extreme, and they're just doing this to kind of go, look at us?
I think in some of these cases, I think it's an overreaction. I think the Community one's a good one, but maybe even more so is the Golden Girls episode. Now, I don't watch Golden Girls. I don't know all the specifics around the episode that they're getting rid of, but to my knowledge, and I could be wrong, so forgive me if I am, but the two characters were wearing mud masks, right? Isn't it? I believe it's for that.
Oh, geez, I saw this episode.
Thank you. So you can.
Yeah. So
if you've been paying attention to Twitter, I wouldn't have to bumble through this.
So no, this episode. This is actually an interesting episode in Golden Girls where, at first, one of the characters' sons. So actually, in Golden Girls, there are three old ladies. They have kids. One of the sons ends up falling in love with a black female, but the issue with, I believe, with the mother of the son isn't that she's black, the girl he's interested in. It's because she's so much older, like 20 years older. That was the issue. And then it turns out her family has an issue with him because he's white. And that was their issue. And then you have the other two characters doing their mud masks, and when they first meet, they're wearing this, and they're like, oh, no. So it's not being done. It was presented as a joke, but that episode in itself was hitting upon a number of other issues, like the reverse racism, ageism, and just a whole bunch of issues essentially.
Yeah, so. and I've heard this both on Twitter and then also from some people in our comments here, that the episode is, like you just said, sort of taking a look at racism, putting a lens on racism, right?
It's honestly similar to Tropic Thunder. I think we talked about this a couple weeks ago.
Robert Downey Jr.
Robert Downey Jr.'s character wearing blackface. His character is meant to be very offensive because they are critiquing Hollywood and the usage of blackface and like how wrong it is. So I do think it's interesting. The cynic in me, I think, like you said, Ravi, I think it's just Hollywood wanting to pat themselves on the back and just not really understanding like why they're taking this episode down. They're just like, oh, it has blackface, we're just going to remove it. While this Golden Girls episode, while it is dated and obviously it's a show from a different time, it does have some, it's not the most PC show in 2020. Obviously, it's from 40 years ago, 30 years ago. Like,
Yep.
There were changing times. I do wonder, could that episode be a good teaching tool that you could potentially use, and you're just removing it? I think it's a case by case basis. I think some of the SNL sketches, right, where comedians have used blackface, I do think it is appropriate to remove some of those because it is made as a bad joke.
Yeah, the joke is the stereotype. You're not
exactly
shining a light. You're not.
Mm-hmm.
You're not there's no educational purpose behind it. It's just simply to make fun of the people that you're making fun of.
Right.
And that's why I kind of have an issue with the Community one because it's a dark elf. It's not even supposed to be.
It's not even a human being,
Which could be problematic, right? In of itself.
Sure,
It could
if
be-
you're viewing it from the outside lens and you don't know what's going on.
But if you don't know exactly,
well, here's my question. I'm not educated enough on Dungeons and Dragons to know, but what is a dark elf based off of? Right?
Mhm.
Is a dark elf? Is it based off of black people?
No.
Right?
No, dark elves are based off people or creatures that were shunned away from the light of something. I'm just going to use magical terms because I don't know the exact.
No, I think so. Dark elves like are elves who live underground and are generally evil, and their skin is black or blue, if that makes sense.
Sure.
I can see.
Now, can that be
that's-
construed
that's
though as
tricky.
like as a
Is that a
white
critique?
land?
Is that a critique
Well, I
on
think
actual
exactly.
racism?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
but
if it is, that's problematic.
It all comes
Right.
down though. It all comes down to context.
Yeah.
Right. Like if with the SNL stuff, like the 80s, 70s, and 80s, when they were doing the older
2000s.
sketches, 2000s, yeah, they were doing
even
it
there.
for the sake of just making fun of, they were stereotyping.
Yeah.
That, get rid of that. In the situation of like the Golden Girls, I don't know if you necessarily get rid of it because I think the entire episode is about racism.
Sure.
And about people's prejudice, and nobody was doing the blackface to put people down or to make fun of the situation. It was more to present like our own bias and our own, lack of understanding, essentially. If you are going to take it down, or if you want to adjust it, put some kind of commentary over it. Explain the situation. I don't think this blanket, like, boom, we're going to go do this, put out a press release, cool, we did everything, and everything's dandy. I think this is an interesting step, but I don't think it's a blanket step. You can't just remove it and be done and walk away. The big thing is in 6 months, these networks and streaming services and studio execs and these brands that are making all these statements, 6 months, we need to see what they're all doing.
Right.
If they're right back to where they
we
were.
need to see their writers' rooms.
Yeah.
This is, and Arjuna mentioned this before. Is this a step that they're taking to avoid doing the real work, which is diversifying their writers' rooms? Right. There's no point in doing
Diversifying
any of this.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah. There's no point in doing any of this if they're not going to take the actual steps to fix the root issue.
Because here's the issue, right? If it's an issue today, which in some cases it obviously is with some of these, why wasn't it an issue back then? How did it get through X amount of layers to make air, and then guess what? It wasn't. Some of these have been criticized throughout the years, right? I know the Office episode with Dwight that featured his cousin. Like I remember specifically when that episode came out because there was critique on that quick little shot, and nothing was done about it. And obviously now something is being done, but why wasn't anything done back then? And that's the hard work that are these companies going to take that? Are they going to diversify the writing staffs? Are they going to diversify the EPs and the producers and the head of studios and such, where those type of topics actually resonate in those people's minds? And are they going to listen when it's not a? Are these studios going to listen when it's not a big movement, right? The spotlight is on right now, right?
Yeah.
Now, in 6 months, unfortunately, when the spotlight dims a little bit, because that is inevitably what's going to unfortunately happen, will these studios continue to do the work that they need to do, or are they just going to put the episodes back up? Are they going to just continue, business as usual?
Right, go back to what they've been doing before.
Yeah, we released our press release. We did our little special here and there, and we're back to normal.
Yeah.
I bet everything goes back to normal.
Well,
that's where my money is.
We'll see.
Prove me wrong.
I say it won't because COVID's not going away, which means people still have time
to
keep protesting. So let's just get it fixed. We have a bunch of time. Let's just get it fixed so we don't need to keep protesting forever. That'd be nice.
Speaking about the protests, and another piece of news, AMC, along with everything else closing back up, is delaying their theater openings after number one coming out and saying that we're going to go with something like 40% capacity and masks are optional, and then they were like, no, masks are actually needed and mandatory, and now they're coming out and saying, hey, we're delaying it. I mean, everything was starting to open back up, but a select few morons have made it so that nobody can go out. So, good job, fucking idiots.
Yeah, I want to emphasize that point real quick.
The fucking idiots?
Yes, the reason that we can't clear the first wave of coronavirus is because you stupid fucking people who are going out into public spaces without masks have set everything back. You are fucking morons. Thank you.
I think you were being sarcastic.
No.
Oh.
And then, these are the same people who are they're the same ones who are going to make the biggest stink, right? They're the people who are complaining about, I need my hair cut. They're the same people who've been complaining the whole time, I'm stuck at home, open up the jobs, get back to the economy. All that stuff could have started happening right now if you just stayed inside and worn a mask when you go outside. Simple, but no. So, the end.
Yeah, it sucks. I mean, Tenet will probably never come out in theaters, which is great. So,
what's Tenet?
Tenet. It's a movie about the Tenet.
It's
Tenet. Boys Season 2 is coming back September 4th, so that'll be a bloody good time. You know what? We'll probably still be indoors.
Yeah. First season was overrated.
Yeah, a little bit. And then a
myself.
AI robot was cast in a movie.
Yes.
Wait, what?
You guys didn't hear about this?
No. This is the beginning of the end.
That's what I was referencing at the
Skynet.
beginning. So they have there's a what is I forget what the AI's name is, but they have cast a full-on AI robot to be the lead in a movie, and many are calling this potentially the end of acting in Hollywood.
Hey, I mean, that would,
wow.
fix a lot of problems.
It would be interesting. Yeah, you don't have to worry about...
So the AI robot's name is Erica. And in the article that I put in the outline, she's wearing Julia Roberts' wig from Mother's Day, apparently.
Okay.
So, she could be made into, I guess, look like anyone. I don't know. Anyway, it's just a weird story, and maybe this is the way that movies get made in a new COVID world, right? AI robots can't get COVID.
Well,
still need a crew, though.
Why not have the AI robots do it as well?
That's true.
Why don't they come up with the movie ideas, too?
All right, I want to under-over of when we see a first AI production. Written, directed, and, everything done by AI.
So,
10 years.
Probably a couple of years ago now, the lead actor from Silicon Valley, I forget his name.
The lead actor? The
Yeah.
guy who plays what's-his-face?
Yeah.
Oh, the guy no one likes?
Yeah, the guy no one likes.
Yeah, that guy.
Anyway, some actor from
Fox?
some actor from Silicon Valley starred in a short film that was completely written by an AI scripting type tool that somebody put in. So basically, how the process works was you go into this machine learning thing and you're like, here's what I want you to tell, the basic premise, and then it created out scene movement, character movement, action, dialogue, the whole shebang. You can find the film. It's out there. It's very, very weird. It doesn't make a lot of cohesive sense. But it has been done already. Basically a machine wrote.
No. I want them to not only write. I want the cinematography. I want the acting. I want the whole thing. Because, let's be honest, taking a robot script, combining with the human production crew, it's not a good recipe.
Some have estimate that we're all robots.
Yeah. Elon Musk says this is a simulation.
Tom Hiddleston. Is that the name of the guy?
Maybe.
From
That sounds like Tom
Hiddleston.
Hiddleston? Oh.
Yeah.
Maybe it's Middletich.
Lauren, in our comments, you might be wrong. I don't know. Or maybe you're right. We don't know.
Anyway, for those listening and those watching,
Oh.
we did our giveaway that's been open for a week for the Rise of Skywalker.
Can't remember that name, huh?
Nope.
Still can't remember it.
Sith Jet Trooper. Let's get a close-up on out of focus here. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. We basically put this out on Twitter last week.
And Instagram.
And Instagram. The goal was you share and like, and you'd be randomly selected to enter to win this beautiful Kenner toy. Yay! Arjuna,
Woo!
please do the honors and use the AI to pick a winner.
What?
All right.
We just...
And the winner is... Oh, here we go. Oh, it's like a little color circle. The winner is... Oh, I have an ad blocker up. Sorry.
every time we've done this, has been like, the winner is... Oh, something
Ad
broke.
blocker. That's pretty good.
I hope it doesn't delete all the names. No, I didn't. Okay. All right, here we go.
All right, we're doing it. And once again...
Oh, here we go. The winner is... Oh, I know the person. Noah Spiegelman on Twitter at Spiegs44. You have won our Kenner Jet Trooper. We will
Woo!
Oh, man. Don't blow out the audio.
I'm sorry, but
God,
we
don't
have
you
to
work in production.
We have to get across our excitement. Otherwise, what are we
Congratulations, Noah. We will be messaging you on Twitter and getting you this beautiful prize shortly in 3 to 6 years.
Yeah, we take a while to ship these things out. So
But you will receive it. Has the
some
last
point.
person received theirs? Do we have a confirmation?
I have no idea.
We're supposed to get there last Wednesday.
Oh, jeez. This has been
I
a
should
minute.
probably check.
Yeah,
if it got
let's
there.
send a little message there.
Yep.
Or if you're watching, you can just let us know.
That's gonna do it for us here at Was It Good. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at Was It Good, on Instagram at Was It Good BTM. You can find the podcast live every Monday on twitch.tv/Was It Good. It is July 4th weekend this weekend. Please be safe, be smart. Do not go to beaches and crowded areas. Do not go bar hopping. Just stay indoors, eat your food, get drunk, watch Independence Day.
Wow.
Good times.
Wow.
I mean, it's what I'm doing.
Wow. Fuck me.
Goodbye.
That's the end of the record. We are still streaming. I will stop the stream for Facebook and YouTube.
Noise, man.